Yes, ma'am.
Right, all right. So, very good evening, everyone. So, as you can see, today's discussion is about how to develop an effective parametric study. As all our interns are based on research oriented activities, either you're working on data science or machine learning or CFD or drone design, there are different activities going on. But the moral of the thing is that how to develop an active or effective parametric study. Now, before going deep into it, you must understand why we need to understand parametric study. In one of my lecture, I have delivered the importance of parametric study. So, all of you are dealing with some parameter. Let's assume that you are working on some medical or biomedical activity. You are working on certain parameters. Maybe you're taking blood sugar, you are taking hemoglobin, or some other XYZ parameters. So, how do you know that this parameter is really important? How really it's creating an impact in your study? So, what are the parameters you must incorporate? Suppose you are working on drone. So, there are range, there are weight of the drone, or weight of the flight, or there are several other factors. So, how do you know that study is effective? So, in this particular session, you are going to learn how to derive research gap. So, when you are working on some research, you must identify the gap. So, how to derive that gap, that I will be discussing. So, today you can say that you will get some tips and tricks that how to develop or work out on your research path. Fine. So this is the first agenda, that how to derive, what are the formula that you should keep in mind to derive the research gap. The second part that we are going to highlight of this today's session, which is a part of an effective parametric study, is the aspects of literature study. So already you know what is literature study, what is literature review. Fine. So here I'm not going to talk about what is it, but the aspect is something different, that how you can make an effective literature study in order to predict your parametric factors. What are the parameters that are involved in this literature study? And in addition to it, the approaches. There are different approaches. If I talk about machine learning, there are different types of machine learning: supervised, unsupervised, and there are different factors that comes into the picture. But which approach that you should opt for? So which is going to be the robust in nature? So how do you predict that this approach is going to be the most appropriate in this study? So on that perspective, that I'm going to show you what are the process that you should undergo. The third factor to study an effective parametric study is one of the very important approach, is called as a multi-criteria decision-making approach. So in short, we call as a MCDM. So each first word we used to take it. So MCDM, this is another very important approach, and this is one of the globally utilized, or we can say proven approach. So the proven approach helps to help to identify your problem state. This is one of the very important approach that we are going to discuss in today's session. And error analysis, I'm going to show you today practically that how effectively you can find the error analysis. One of the method that I'm going to show you or demonstrate you is that S mapping. Okay, so we're going to discuss those factor also in the coming session, in the coming this today's session, that how this error analysis and what's the connection between this effective parametric study play a very vital role. And the last factor that I'm going to highlight is how effectively the graphical representation of your parameters. research parameters. So the first point, I will request all the interns to note down this points that really going to help you to predict or work out on your research gap, because when you are going to write, you have to keep those approaches in your mind to, that will be easy for you to write down those things. So any researcher, when we are communicating through a journal for publications, the first and foremost thing that they ask is what is the objective. The objective of your work can be derived only from the research gap. So you need to understand this, what is a research gap, very carefully, and this research gap is completely deals with your parametric study. What are the different parameters that you have utilized, and what are the methodology that how a typical methodology that you have utilized and why you have utilized. The answer for that is your research gap. So these are the basic traits that you should understand before start writing about it. So what is research gap is clear to all. The research gap is a gap that is a options for you to study, or options for you to further pursue your research work, right? That will be your objective. Already many of you have decided your objective, that I'm going to work on this blood cancer, I'm going to work on liver cancer, I'm going to work on the renewable sector, I'm going to work on solar energy system, I'm going to work on different aircraft design, I'm going to work on drone systems. So there are different objectives you have highlighted, but what will be your parameter? What will be your parameter? Which parameter you're going to reduce and which parameter you're going to improve it, right? So again comes that, okay, fine, you're working on drone, you're working on lung cancer, it's fine, but what is your objective? The objective is going to deals with the parameters. So student, is it clear? If it is not clear, please, you can unmute and you can discuss it. Is my voice audible? Sorry, I just saw the message right now. Is my voice audible right now? Okay, right. Is it audible right now? It's clear, loud and clear right now? Not yet. So I request all of you to just let me know whether my voice is audible. It's only from his side or also from my side. Just let me know, ensure it. Because today we are going to discuss a very, very, very important topic that's going to help you in your research pursuit. I'm just getting an answer from a single person. All of you, please do mention it. Is my voice audible, loud and clear? I'm believing that my voice is clear. All right. Disturbance, is there some noise? All right, let me check once again. better? All right, great. Thank you. So let's begin. So first of all, that just a second. So why we need to develop research gap? Research gap provide us, it's a procedure which give us an option about our research objective. It gives or it helps to highlight our research objective. How? So basically it provides it gives us objective, and objective is either to increase or to decrease or to improve or to minimize some parameter. So here again we are working on parameter. So parameter can be a hemoglobin, parameter can be weight of a drone or any aircraft, parameter can be improving some passenger comfort, parameter can be improving car look, it can be anything, the aesthetic to agronomics to design to any factors, right? So it comes a parameter. So today is very important how you can generate and study the parameters and what are the parameters are going to be healthy for your study. The first and foremost that you know is a literature review. All right. Now literature review, know, understand that how to conduct it, identify the theme of it, on which theme you're working, whether you're working on lung cancer, blood cancer, you're working on drone design, you're working on aircraft, what is the theme of your work? Find the key findings of those particular study, what kind of methodologies they have utilized, whether they have used artificial intelligence, genetic algorithms, whether they have used different methodology of regressions, whether they have used CFD, whether they have used wind tunnel. So what sort of methodologies they have utilized, what is their key finding, what is the theme of the research. Based on your work, you have to identify it or segregate it separately. That is a very important area. Now, note if there are any contradictions on the area or the data lagging. Suppose you are working on certain area, there might be no data. So of course there are some constraints are there. So how you gonna work on those area? There are some parameters that which are not available. So you have to list it down, those parameters, right? Two things here. Two important parameters that I have highlighted in literature review. In upcoming session, I will be showing you that in upcoming slides, I will be showing you that how to identify the literature review, how to segregate based on these factors, right? Then is identifying the research question. Now this research, when you're developing your research article, when you're writing a research paper, you should ask certain research question to your work only. Before anybody asks any question, you should ask, so what is my objective? Why I am finding this objective? What are my parameters? How I'm going to utilize these parameters? What will be my outcome? And what will be my implementation? Ask these 5 basic questions. Ask these 5 basic questions when you're developing on your objective. Why I'm working on this objective? What are the methodologies that I'm going to implement? What are the parameters I'm going to implement? Or how I'm going to proceed this work or implementing this possible outcome or the result, and what will be the future implementation. Just ask these 5 basic questions. Please do write down this thing, which is going to be helpful for you when you're framing or writing your work or writing your report or research work. So this question will help you to frame out your research questions, right? Which will give you the answer, the gap. Okay, so I'm working on 15 different parameters. So 15 different parameters we have listed down. So why you are working on this 15? The question comes, why only this 15? Why not 16? Why not 14? So you should have the answer why this 15. If 15, why this 15 different parameters? Each one of you are working on the parameters, whether you're working on lung cancer, whether you're working on drones, whether we are working on wing, aircraft, whether you're working on any other sectors. So why on those particular parameters? That is a big question. You should have the answer for it. You should have the answer for it. Why only that particular parameters? And who will give the answer for it? The literature review. How? Because based on the theme that you're working, they might have worked on 14 different parameters. You have introduced one more extra parameter. That gives an answer, that creates a gap. That okay, not only 14 different articles or the 14 different parameters can be introduced, but also another parameter important factor can be introduced. So that will give the answer from the literature review. I will show you one example. Right now, here, just a second. I will show you one example. Right now, this is called as a systematic way of literature study. I hope all of you can see my screen. You can please unmute so it will be easy for me to. Is it visible? Systematic way of literature study. Is this slide visible? Right. Okay. Now in this study, what you can see here, see author's contribution. So this is my old paper. Don't go the content of it. Just see the pattern of the system that has been sorted. So I have listed here author's contribution. So what are the authors and all I have written. Oh, I have used some technique or approach. So I have listed down the particular author, what are the technique has been used. If there are multiple techniques has been used, multiple things has been written over here. Now implementation, where they have implemented. So implemented of different types of aircraft, so that has been written. Now this particular list of authors, they have worked on different technical aspects, economic. It can be based on your work, you have to segregate it. Okay, so whether you want a technical aspect, whether you want an economical aspect, whether you want a safety aspect, and this kind of aspect can be listed down in different segments. This is up to your research objective. So if you want other different variant profit, you want if you want other reliability factors, so those things can be added on. So based on your objective, you can create in segregations of your literature part. So now if I look into this particular table, what I can understand that this particular author has worked on these are the approaches, worked on this particular aircraft, and these are the list of technical aspects. These are the parameters actually. Aspects means parameters. So they have worked on these are the technical parameters. These are comes under the economical parameters that this particular author has worked on. But this particular author has not worked on any sort of safety aspects. I hope it's clear. Now, here the last you can see the key finding. So what is the key finding? It has also been listed. What's the key finding? It's also been listed over here. Now similarly, if I go to the last one here, there's some particular author, they have worked on another critical different method, worked on transport aircraft, but here she has not worked on any sort of technical aspects. But look into the other side, they have worked on economical aspects where the price and cost come into the picture, where the security, reliability, quality coming into the picture, and I have given what is the key objective of their work. So this kind of study, see these continuations of this kind of study, this study I have performed in the year 2021. So I'm giving an example of that. So if you are doing current research that 2024, so you should update here with till dated research. Okay, till 2024, what is the research has been performed? What are the different methods has been performed based on the agreements you had performed? Now, this shows a clear research objective that in this research, they have many different people have worked on different method. In this particular research, it has been worked on a hybrid method, critic was plus this and this other technique also incorporated. Worked on which aircraft, which size, different technical aspects, what are the different parameters that have been incorporated, different I have been including the fuel cost per seat, number of accidents. So if you look back to the other different parts, so here see this research 2020, this particular person or author has not worked on technical aspect, not worked on economical aspect, but worked on accidents. But no other researchers has worked on accident. So that is one of the research gap. That is that I am working on the several other technical aspects. I am working also on the economical aspects, also adding the accident part, right? So this kind of study will give you a clear picture of your parametric study. Or this is also known as a systematic way of literature study, where you can understand that how these authors have worked on different methods. See, here my methods is again a different one. Based on my study, the previous research, they have worked on critic topses. But here I am working on critic waspers. So nowhere you can find, based on the literature, they have worked on critic waspers. This is one of the method. Will come up on this particular method also. Right. So this is again one of my research gap. I worked on which aircraft or which selections, that doesn't matter, but which parameter that you're working, that play a very vital role in your research gap. Any question from this particular slide? Do you have any question from this particular slide? I hope you are following and you will maintain the same when you are working on your particular research work. My dear students, do you have any question from this? Please write down in the chat box. Any question over here? Am I audible? Okay. So I believe I am audible. I am proceeding further. If you have any doubt in between, so please let me know. You are here to learn and work on basis of the parameters has been taught to you. Alright. Now, moving further. So, still we are in the research gap. So, now I hope I have give you the clear idea or outline how to frame out this particular zone. So, research questions and how to work. So, same as expansion options that previously they have often some critic process. In my research, I am utilizing the critic Waspers combined. I am using some hybrid technique. You can use some hybrid technique like combination of one or more techniques so that you can utilize, and that can be your research gap. You can show that previously I have some particular researcher has worked on lung cancer using this method. I am using some hybrid technique to identify the same. That can be a research gap. That can be your idea to work on, right? Next factor to develop a research gap is very important factor is to read or understand the data, the trend. Okay, the trend of the data can be utilized. A very good example is a regression or correlation. Understanding the correlation pattern of your data, how these parameters are correlating with it. If there are some missing data, you can clean the data. There are other methods that how you can proceed with the data. Okay, so analyzing the data, whether it is a machine learning, whether it's an any other technique, whether you're working on the design factors or trade-off study. So analyzing the data is a very important factor. So now the fifth one that it has to be in your keep in your mind is that to stay updated. Stay well updated with the knowledge of the current trends. This is very important. You should not use any obsoleted data, or when you're collecting a literature survey or literature study, it should be well updated. So for an example, you can say you should collect some new trend, like as this is a 2024, so you should collect the data till dated publications. It's something relevant to your theme, whether you're working on drone, whether you're working on any other current techniques. You should be well aware with the current techniques and current trends, and your objective should be come up from there, narrow down the gap, right? So previously someone has worked on this particular parameter, worked on the A parameter, you are working on B parameter, and how you create a bridge between A to B, that should be your work. It should, the distance, the narrow gap between A and B should be reduced. That is, your idea should be there for it. So that is a research gap. So this is another way of fixing the literature survey as well. You can this kind of things can help you while you make a presentation. So when people usually question on your work that whether the things that the paper or the research paper that you're collecting, whether it is up to the mark or not, whether it's a Scopus indexed, or whether it is whatever the method it is. So you're utilizing whatever the paper that you're collecting, so whether it is a Scopus index or Web of Science. So remember one more thing, people mostly get confused in this part is that so the people ask what is the impact factor. Okay, so impact factor of a journal is only available for Web of Science. For Scopus, there is no impact factor. If your paper is SCI or also known as a Web of Science, so it is known as that if that particular journal will have an impact factor. So there are some journals where it is both the Scopus index and SCI. So SCI is known as one of the very topmost journal, and Q1 is a quartile 1 journal. Is a globally recognized and well-known journal, that is a Q1 journal. Then comes Q2, Q3, and the last one we have is a Q4. So that also justifies that what is your base paper, what is the foundation of your paper, on basis of which paper you are finding or utilizing your research work. So that also play a very vital role. So you must, for your simplicity of your work, you can create this literature survey, this kind of literature survey you can create, but whether you're working technique, whether you are working on CFD technique, this kind of methodology should be there. So now previously I have shown one is the number method. This one what you see, this sorry, is a year method. This is what you are seeing is a number method where I have the referencing the number. Okay, so always remember, try to make a literature study in a very simplified way where you can understand. If anybody asks, tell me about this particular literature, you will be able to answer for it. You should have the answer for it. What are the parameters they have studied, what is the outcome of their work, what is the limitation of their work, so that those things you can perform it using literature, and this is the answer for your literature gap. Right. Now from the literature study, this is another well perspective that how you can create a graphical representation, because when you're writing a paper, yes, the content, the write-up content should be there, but more than that, it should have some graphical representation or some flow charts. Okay, so that will give a clear picture about it. So for an example, you can either use this kind of styling. No fancy styling are utilized in research paper. Don't give any flashy things. So either you can use this kind of thing or this. Now I will show you in upcoming session, upcoming slides, that which are not allowed. For an example, right, this is another way of flowchart. Right, you can utilize this, but this kind of fancy things are not utilized in public for the sake of publications. Okay, where so many fancy colors are there, so these are not, when the colors are too much highlighted, we are advised that not to utilize those kind of fancy highlight colors. Right, try to make it with a simple, you can use bicolors. Okay, either black and white your colors, or just make it a simple one. Right, like this you can make it. So that is a most advisable one. And why we are telling you this, this is another way of representing your literature study or approaches. Now see why, take an example of this. So why it is very important. So when you see a flowchart or the parameters which give you a clear picture, okay, this is what we have it, and from there these are the other subparts. From the subparts, what are the other subparts are there. So this will help you to in your research work. So when you're writing, it is going to be easy to see this layout and put up in your in your discussion part. This is another way, another method of representing. Okay, these are different methods that I'm showing you that to represent for your research work. So this parameters, the parameters that are highlighted over here, that might change, but the core concept you will get an idea. The main objective of this to show this to you is to give you the idea or the perspective how you should portray things in your report or in your research paper. This is also the things that you can show, that how the factors are interconnected. These are simple ways you can show like this, right? So from here you can see the gray color represents the region who are in the gray zone. The green colors are representing the green zone. So there are different ways that you can represent the concept into the pictorial way. Because see, when the people we are communicating into our journals or anything, they may not go through each and everything. The more you have the pictorial view and you're discussing on the basis of the pictorial view, it will create a very good impact in your journal writing as well as your other factors. This is another way of representations that you can represent in this way also. There are some infographics that are available in the other websites. You can download and you can slightly modify from the infographic sections. Right. So There are some statistical way of demonstration. You can show the statistical factors in your literature, right? So I hope the literature part is clear to all. I hope there is no section how to work on your literature. There is a question, can you please explain on the method used? Yeah, those you don't have to go more deep into the methods used. Here in this session, we are not going deep into the methods. But yes, now as my current slide are showing, that is a multi-criteria decision making. This is one of the method. I'm gonna discuss more about this method today, right? How this helps to choose effectively, how to choose your parameter more effectively. Okay, these are the list of the methods that you can see. These are the commonly used, right? So you can take a screenshot of this method, and you can, as the same method has been shown in the literature review that I have shown previously, right? So this is one of the very important technique that you currently see. These are popular, as I have mentioned here, a very popular MCDM technique. Now, what is MCDM technique? Is a multi-criteria decision making. So this is why this method is that, what is the decision making? You have to decide that which parameter you have to take. For an example, when you are making a regression, suppose I have to make a regression of this, that how this parameter are correlated. Regression means correlated. And what is mean correlation? If I need to find the relationship between the range and the some factor. You don't have to understand what is this factor. You don't have to understand the range. If the count, if the value of R square, if the value of, there is a method correlation factor, if the value of R square value is very close to 1, we consider that value is a very strongly connected. Now if I analyze this factor is R square value is 0.998, let's assume that. Okay, let's assume that the R square value is 0.998 and that is very close to 1. That means the relationship between the range and this empty weight fraction is very good. They are very strongly connected. That means if there is some change in range value, there will be a change in the empty weight fraction. This is understanding from it. So this is a correlation that gives you the understanding, right? So similarly, if this is the two parameters that I have shown, what if you have a different criteria, different parameters? Different criteria means different multiple parameters, more than 3 parameters, more than 5 parameters. How do you decide that your parameter is suitable? Your which parameter you will hold it and compare with the other? Which is your superior parameter? Which one is your objective parameter? How do you decide it? So this is one of the very good approach, that is a MCDM approach. This approach help you to decide, either to select this particular approach help you to select the best one, whether you're selecting the whether you are selecting the best parameter, whether you're selecting the best model, whether you're selecting whatever the XYZ parameter that you want to select it. This particular method help you to select the best model, okay, best outcome, right? Now there are different patterns, there are different types that you can see their full forms and all it is written. You can take a screenshot and that these are the most popular. You can study this popular method. Okay, so your task will be to, every researcher must study this MCDM approach, because why you're opting this objective, why you're working on the suppose you're working on lung cancer, you are optimizing some parameter that okay, I'm gonna improve this particular factor. Why you are particularly working on the improving the hemoglobin? Why? The answer will come by itself when you work on this particular method called MCDM method. This will give you the answer. This will be giving a supportive answer, right? Now, carry forwarding that these are the different techniques that are being utilized. Now, again, now suppose this is a hybrid method that I am going to show you here. It's a approach of selections of critic and Wasper's technique. Okay. Just a second. Critic approach. So that approach, the flow chart that you can see here, okay, flow chart that you can see here is a critic Wasper's approach. Okay. Now here in this I have hybridized. Hybridized means I have combined two different techniques. What I have done, I have combined two different techniques. Now what I have done here, that is not an important factor here. The factor is here to understand that how I am creating this approach and I am presenting it. Let me repeat once again. Here the importance is that it's not here in the mode of discussion is that not that why I am utilizing this critic Waspers. The point is that how I have utilized the hybrid technique and I have formed this flowchart. Is it clear? Now can please anyone read for me that what is written in the caption of this figure? What is written in the caption of this figure? Can please anyone read for me? Can anyone please read it out? Anyone? Or you can write in the chat box. So are you guys following or just skipping from your head or bouncing? Alright, I can see some answer. Right, you can see some process of choosing baseline aircraft. Okay, so the objective is that this is a process or method. I have utilized the critic Wasper's approach, and this approach or this process is to select my baseline. It's basically to select my aircraft. Alright, so to select an aircraft, I have utilized this technique. So till now, if you have any question, please unmute and ask, or you can write in the chat box. Till now, if you have any confusion, please write in the chat box. Alright, meanwhile, I will show you another slide. Alright, we have some question. So alright, Jatin, I will take up your question. Just a second, I will just share the slide. Can you just see the slide? Just ensure me that you can see my... Right. Okay. Now, the first question that you had was, okay, which MCDM technique should I select, or do I have to select to study all? So Jatin, as I have mentioned, let me stop sharing this and show you my slide as I have already mentioned over there. Let me show you once again. Okay, I will give the answer for this. Okay, I will give the answer for this. So this is see, this is under study is a continuation from this slide to this slide is a continuous table. All right. So here the main objective of my study is to research gap. The last one, can you see this research? In this research, what are the critical things that I am showing here? One is my objective. Second is the parametric study. Okay, the main highlights. So as you have asked the which technique, so previously what you have to do is you have to study that what is your theme. This is means a theme. So are you working on blood cancer? Are you working on renewable sector? Are you working on aircraft? So on which theme you are working, right? So on that particular theme, what are the techniques are being utilized and who are the authors? Then what are the technical, or if you don't have technical parameters, you have medical parameters, or you can segregate the aspects. I have segregated the aspects into technical, economical, safety. If you have different other parameters, you can classify them. Could you follow me? Now, based on your theme, here my theme is aircraft. Here my theme is aircraft. And based on my aircraft, I am following up with my technical aspects, economical aspects, and safety aspects. So I am studying that this particular author has studied on what are the aspects. So see here, then this author has worked on some different technique as compared with the previous one. Worked on this kind of different aircraft. Here they have not worked on technical aspects, but they have worked on economical factors. See, another person worked on different hybrid technique. Here you see, he has worked on AHP. He has worked on hybrid technique. They have used fuzzy technique. Fuzzy come AHP and Topsis. And which aircraft? That is agriculture aircraft. There is a different technical aspects, but there is no economical and safety aspects. Could you follow? So likewise, you have to perform the study based on your theme. So finalize this study. This is actually a sample I have shown. So as this is a year 2024, you have to study till the latest. You have to study till latest, that till date what the study has been made, right? So till date that somebody have made a critic topsis, right? So critic topsis, here what I have done, critic waspers comparing with other different variants. They have worked on business jet. Here this is my research. This is my research work. I have worked on another different variant of aircraft. They have worked on 4 different technical aspects. Here I am working on another 13 or 14 different aspects. Then one economical aspects, another accidents. So this makes my paper unique. This how you have to frame out your own study. You have to frame your own research gap. This will give you that which suitable technique, that this will give you the answer that which MCDM technique should I opt for my study. So I don't know which topic you are studying. So if you are studying on blood cancer, so based on your theme, you see what are the technique has been studied. If suppose you can't find any relevant topic that has been studied, see some biological or medical relevant study has been performed relevant to this particular technique, this particular MCDM technique. If not, study on this different variant of MCDM technique and identify which is the most robust which is the giving the most accurate result you can give, that will also serve the purpose. Jitin, I hope I have clarified your question. Right. Okay. So coming to a glimpse of it, because all of you might going to work on this MCDM technique. So I'm going to show you a brief layout that how to work on. Based on their study, I have this is a method that I'm going to show you is to work on the critic Vaspers technique. Okay. So first and foremost thing, you can, the best option is Excel. If you are in good in MATLAB or Python, you can also opt accordingly. But I feel that this Excel is I was comfortable in Excel, so I have done it accordingly. Based on your comfortable zone, you can do it. All right. The first and foremost is that a collection of data, based on your realistic data. Okay, so here I have marked with my different alternative. That means I am working on 22 different variables. So understanding the data is again play a very vital role. So here, sorry, I forgot to share it. I hope my screen is visible and you can see my uh, Excel sheet. Okay, so the first and foremost, for any whatever the work or research that you are undergoing, is to identify or deep study about the parameters. Whether you're working on biomedical sector, any other particular engineering sectors or anything. So when you're working on the parameters, you have to individually, you have to study deep about the parameters. So, and what are the different variants that you're taking? It can be different human data that you have collected. It can be different drone data. It can be different year data you're working on. So starting from 1970 to 2021 data that you're working on. So the number of variables, so here you should understand before undergoing this MCDM is what are the different parameters that you are studying. That will be your criteria. That when you are working on different parameters, suppose hemoglobin, if you are working on the blood BP, or that is blood pressure, or XYZ parameters, those factors will comes under the criteria, right? So these are the list of criteria we'll have. This A1 to A2 are the alternative. So here in MCDM, we talk about two important factor. One is the alternative and one is a alternative, means that what are the different collections, whether it's a different year, whether it's a different how you have collected data, different different articles means different aircraft, different drone data, different persons data, different year data. So those comes under the attributes. Okay, that is denoted by A1 to A22. It can be different, it can be even 48, it can be 102, it can be 500 also. The number of attributes can be 500, it can be 100. It is up to you based on the data availability. Okay, so A1 to A2 is my attributes. The row factors that you are seeing here is my criteria. Criteria means the parameter that I am focused to study on or currently working on. Then after collecting the data, second factor is to identify which one is the beneficiary factor and the non-beneficiary factor. Okay, now what is a beneficiary factor? The word came from the benefit, the word called benefit. Okay, so which criteria if it rise, suppose you're working on biomedical factor, if I say BP increases, blood pressure increases. So of course you know that if from the normal zone, if the BP increases, it's not normal. We don't consider the BP high, right? So that will come under a non-beneficial criteria. Could you follow? That will come under the non-beneficial criteria. For an example, if I talk about aircraft, and we don't want any flying vehicle to increase the weight. It's a simple thing. So any flying vehicle, we don't want to increase the weight. So if it increases, so there are several other factors. So this, when we want to decrease certain factor which comes against a non-beneficial criteria. Suppose again, and best example I can give, suppose you're working on profit. You're studying and analyzing the profit of certain company. So of course any company wants profit, so profit has to be more. So if some parameter or some criteria which has to be more, so that falls under a beneficiary criteria or benefit criteria. Okay, beneficiary criteria or benefit criteria. So second step is to identify and study about your parameter to understand which one is a benefit criteria and which one is a non-benefit criteria. So based on that, you should create an maximum and minimum. So there is a formula you can create in the Excel based on that what is your benefit and non-benefit criteria. Then third step is very important, is to normalize the matrix. Now why we do need to normalize it? It's a very important. It's a statistical, but it's really important to understand why we need to normalize the matrix. So any MCDM technique, you will see they have a method of normalizing a matrix. So why we need normalization? Because the factors or the criteria or the parameters that you have considered, all are not in a same unit. All are not in same unit. Some may be in dollars, right? Some may be in kilometer, some may be in kgs, some may be in meter, some may be in different ml, right? So each one of the parameters having their own unit and different unit. So normalized matrix gives to settle down in a single factor. It helps to simplify from other different unit. Now take an example of this again. Here you see, let me show you the real data. See, this value is around 2,17,000. This value is 0.544. There is no can you see that there is a wide difference, because this has been defined in kg. This is in a fraction. This is in kilometer. So there is 2 lakhs. This is 2,770. There is a huge gap. This unit is different. Here the units are different. But when we normalize it, see, when we normalizing it, all comes down from between 0 to 1. That's a beauty of normalization. We are bringing all the factors into 0 to 1. As you know, we are bringing every factors between 0 to 1. So after normalization, a very important factor once you are done with the normalization is to give the weight. Now what is weight? Weight is a next step, is to give the importance. How important is the parameter? So there are other technique also to introduce the how you can give an importance of this criteria, right? So whether he will give 50-50 percentage, whether he will get 140, or he will give a equal weightage to all. So suppose you are taking how many parameters? Suppose you are taking around 10, 11, 12, 13. Suppose you are taking 13 parameters. So just divide the entire parameters, the 13 divided by 1, right? So total, the sum of all should be 1. Sum of all should be 1. So how you are going to divide it? So sorry, 1 divided by 13 you are going to make, right? Could you follow, all of you? So you are going to make an equal distributions of the weight. Now then after this is a very common step to all MCDM technique, the next step depends on the what is the method, whether you're using Topsys, whether you're using Waspers, whether you're using any other Mura method. As you can see, I have shown Waspers, Mura and Topsys. Each one of them has a different technique. So the outcome of any technique, outcome of after that the procedures, outcome of any technique will give you the rank. The rank in the sense that which one will give the best, which one will give the worst, or which one is the best, which one is the worst, or which one is having the highest weight, or the topmost, which one will be in the top, which one is the who is the first comer and who is the last comer. Okay, so any method that you utilize it, whether it's a Waspers, whether it's a Mura, whether it's a Topsys, these three techniques are known as a topmost technique. So I'm going to discuss on basis of topmost technique today, right? So all are giving this. Now looking to the Mura method, the procedure till the normalization and weighted will be same. The outcome is again the same. In between the method will be slightly varying based on the method utilization. So here also you can see the rank. Everywhere you can see the rank. Topsys, at the end you can see the rank. Each one will have a different technique to perform, but at the end it will give the best. The answer will be to give the best and the worst answer. And you can also see the rank wise which one is in the top and which one is the least one, right? So already in this session I have clarified you that which are the topmost, known as a very topmost criteria. One is the Waspers, second is the Mura, Topsys. And you, if you're working on MCDM, you have to check that how it is better, right? Now in my slide, when I was starting my session, I have said today's session is also to identify you or to tell you that how to identify the error and how to identify that which method is superior over another. So this method can be understand using or utilizing an method called S-mapping method. Okay, this method can be utilized using an S-mapping method. So today I'm going to show you, as I have already uploaded here, the rank. All right, you can see here the rank of this previous method, Topsys method, Mura method rank has been given here, and Waspers, and these are the my alternative, right? These are my alternative that I have taken. So I will fill, right? Now today here I'm going to show you how I can obtain the S mapping. Okay, Now, first of all, what is SMAPI? The full form of SMAPI is one of the very good technique to identify the accuracy of your model or the prediction of your model. So, full form is a symmetric mean absolute percentage error. Okay, it's let me repeat once again: systematic mean absolute percentage error. All right, so this method gives a very accurate how good your model is. Okay, now here our core model is our WASPers. Okay, now with respect to WASPers, I am going to check how it is effective with the WASP TOPSIS, how it is good with my Mura method. Okay, so this is my actual data. These are my predicted data. So I'm going to predict with respect to that, with respect to my actual data. I am utilizing this method. I am going to check that how robust my method over this other two different technique. So the first and foremost method is to utilize the formula. So there is some formula is that sum of the absolute mean of this actual and the predicted divided by 2 by 100. If you do it, so you will get an SMAPI differences. Okay, so let me show you the Google formula. Can you see my screen? Is my screen visible? So you can note down this formula. Okay. So this is a SMAPI formula. I hope you have noted. Now I am going to utilize that in this method. So first and foremost, I have written my actual one and my what is a predicted one. So here it is an absolute difference, absolute mean square difference. So what I'm going to utilize here in Excel, if you're using Excel, I'm going to use ABS open bracket with my predicted one. First I'm finding with TOPSIS, so I'm using this cell minus my actual one, close the bracket, divided by open the bracket. Within the bracket I'm gonna use ABS of my actual one plus again bracket I will give, so otherwise I might get error. So you can also use the same to avoid error with my this and this one, this one divided by 2. Can you see this? You can utilize this formula. And just can drag it down, you will get the same for all. And to get the difference of between this TOPSIS versus WASPers, you can need to do it is sum of all divided by count right. Now this I'm getting this, you can convert that whatever the thing in terms of percentage if you want to do it. So what's the percentage that you can get here? Can you read it for me? What's the percentage that you can see here? Is it visible?
67.8.
Yeah, 67, right. 67.5, right? So, according to the study, what it says that if a range between 1 to 10%, it that means it is accurate. Okay, that means it is accurate. If it is 20, it is if it is between 10, according to this analysis, if it is 10 to 20, it is very good. 20 to 30, it's good. It's good, or it is also known as moderate, right? Beyond that, the error starts. So if you're getting any model in between this, it is quite an acceptable zone, right? Beyond that, that means it shows the error between this, it's quite larger. So if I am utilizing a Topsis method in this particular research, that means, and of course right now I can't say, I have to check with Mura as well. If Mura also give the same, that means something wrong with the actual one, something wrong with the actual one. If Mura doesn't give the same result, then it will be considered. So similarly, how can I perform for the Mura and to know that how accurate the model is? So here to simplify I have done it. So here it is in between, I am gonna change it to D. Here instead of this I am gonna change to D. This is C. So as you can see the cells, I just can change the cells, and as a formula is also already been developed, so I just drag and drop. So, so as you can see here, so if I difference between the tops is 67, which is not at all acceptable, that means there is a huge error. Okay, and now you see Mura method, which is 14, which falls under is a very good result. Sorry, it's a very good result, right? That means Mura method gives a, it's quite a reasonable result, a close result as Waspers, which is a moderate result. So only these two methods will not serve the purpose. You have to do another several other techniques to compare and contrast with your technique in order to identify whether your result is coming closely accurate with your result or not. Could you follow me? Whether your result is coming, two methods will not give the answer. If because why? Because already in Topsis is giving a very contradictory answer. If it could have given a 10% or very less than 20%, so we could have considered, okay, this was first Topsis Mura method giving almost a very accurate result. As in between these two, this Topsis itself is giving a very bad result. You have to compare with furthermore competitors, furthermore other techniques to check that your model is very close with the other technique and how good your technique is. right? So I hope you have learned how to utilize this SMAPI technique, right? This is a very important technique and widely utilized it. And the last part that we have left out in our today's session, just a second, I will share my screen, share my presentation once again. Is my screen visible? Kindly confirm, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. So the last is effective graphical representation of parameters. So right now you have just seen that how to identify the error analysis, and now I'm going to show you that how effectively you're going to identify this, how to represent it, right? So right. So this is the other way to formulate and show and represent your flow chart. Okay, so parametric discussion, how to do it, right? So these are the layouts of the points that you can keep in your work chart, so that when you're preparing your research paper or writing your own article, it will be sorted and it will be easy, right? So you can follow these 5 procedures. That first, find the present work, that is I have shown an example as a Wasper's technique, and portray those in a graphical representation. Means you have to know that how nicely you can represent the graphical representation or the statistical data. Second is analyze the relationship between the parameters. I will show you an example how to do it. Then compare with the existing study, as I have showed with Topsys, Mura method, or any other method, that what are the discrepancies or how they are different with one another, and this will be shown in a graphical representation. I will show you an example also. Fourth is a discussion about the limitations. So why, suppose as you can see in that PPT, or sorry, as you can see in that file, that Topsys gave 67%, and whereas Mura gave around 14%, right? You should have the answer why, or what are the limitations, why it is happening like this. You should have the answer for that. And the last, you should also highlight with the parametric discussion that what are the future prospect, what can be future, how it can be further work on, whether any additions of parameters, data cleaning process should be done or not, how effectively you have done it. Those factors play a vital role on this, right? So these are the key parameters that you should keep in mind when you are discussing about the parametric discussions, right? I will show you some of the examples. Okay. Now, you should always graphically represent or statistically represent that, with the comparison of you are working on different parameters. Don't focus on the parameters what is listed over here. Just try to understand the concept that we are trying to picturize in front of you. Okay. Just understand the statistical representation. So as you can see, there are some ways to represent. Some red dot at the baseline, I hope you can see. Red dot is a baseline, blue dot is the optimized value, that means the outcome value, or some blue lines. Blue one is the, this is sky blue, this is a dark blue, is a percentage of change. You can see how they are fluctuating, this graphs are fluctuating, and how much percentage, whether they have increased or decreased. Here you can see the value of minus, here you can see the value of positive. So you can understand there are a list of parameters. If they are falling on this zone, it will be coming under the decrease zone. If they are falling on this side, it is the increase zone. And this value will represent how much percentage they have changed with respect to baseline and the current date. Okay, this is one of the method of representing your parametric study. There are other ways you can make some combination of it on the same graph, right? On different statistical data, you can do it, right? Based on your work. This parametrical study will vary based on your work. This is another method. This is a spider wave, right? So as you can see, different as I have shown an example, this same work what I have shown an example can be represented in a spider wave. How? On different technique, the which technique are in the which rank. Okay, there are 20 different techniques. Which one is the overlapping technique? This is another way of representation that you can see. There are it got some of the technique got overlap with this PPT, so it's not showing over here. So there are different techniques are represented here, and there are the ranks of different technique. So from there you can see the first rank are this one, the highest rank are which are the highest rank. So there are different. These are the pictorial views to show sorry, how to represent your work. This is another technique. uh, you have worked on different cases, different percentage of error, and as you can see here also negative and positive values are there. This side is negative, this side is positive. How much percentage of error, whichever the parameters are be increasing or decreasing. So any good journal, any good paper, or they are looking for this kind of statistical and graphical representation of your parameters. So of course you're gonna, if you make this chart and when you write up, it's going to be easy for you to write because people want a statistical value. So if you're telling that your work has been improved, so you must have the answer how much percentage has been improved. So this is the best way to represent your represent your parametric work. This is another way to represent your parametric work. As you can see, that there is a, this one is a negative, this one is a positive, and how much these are the different parameters that has been listed, and how these parameters and which parameters are decreasing, which parameter is increasing. It will give a very clear pictures to the journal reviewer, and also when you're writing in your research paper, it will be easily, paper or the research work will easily get acceptable, right? So I hope I have brought you some idea about how to represent this work, right? Every this chart that you can work on Excel. You can work on this kind of pictorial views you can bring into, you also use pie chart, different kind of charts. Statistical data representation will help you in your give the answer for your research gap, and not only to give the answer for your research work, will also give the answer for how you can how you can bring and good perspective on your research writing as well, right? So that's all for today's one. If you have any questions, so please ask. If you have any questions, so please ask. So any confusion, any doubt? So our research team will come further communicate with you. So so already this is one of the important factor that uh, mm, you should keep in mind when you're working on it, right? Okay, we have some question. ma'am, should I work on any problem by myself, or see, it is up to the individual. If you're working on if you're working on data analyst, or if you are a ML batch, so definitely you have an option that if you want to work on particular area, because there are some people who want to work on specific area. There are some people who are mailing us, so you can mail us if you based on that. If you don't have any particular area or problem statement, you can let us know, we will give you that. Okay. And keep in mind, whether you are a CFD engineer, or whether you are a like a aircraft design or drone design, machine learning, data science, right? This is a very common approach that you have to go through. Each one of you has to go through this common approaches. So before proceeding side by side, this will be your homework, that how to derive your own research gap, and how to frame out this already. I have clarified you, right? What are the literature reviews, how to proceed with that. If regarding this particular topic, if you have any question, any doubt, you just can, you all of you have my contact number already, so you just can mail me on this. I'm just typing in the chat box. Okay, so you can mail me, or you can call me if you have any relevant doubts on this particular area that I have discussed today, right? And yes, whether it, see, yes, no problem. As I have mentioned, whether you're data science or something, or any other, you have to undergo this technique. I have seen, yes, yes, yeah, no problem. We have received your data set. I have a word with Arunava sir. So we have received everyone's data. We are studying, go through all the studies, going like studying all your data, right? Everyone's data that you have mailed, sir, right? I hope you have mailed to sir, right? So sir is going through all the data. So upcoming class, whenever sir is being with you, so sir will discuss with you all regarding your data set, and the analysis that you have performed. Everything sir is going to discuss with you, right? Right. So I hope you have got the clear image of this. I hope all of you got the clear image. This is a very, very important part. See, there are actually several sessions has been conducted. Effective research, right? But today's session is more deep into it. It's slightly away from your core region, but you should know how to create a framework for your research, because that is the key thing in this research internship. Okay, that is a key thing, that how to derive the research gap, how to work on those approaches, how to find out your error analysis, because you have to understand the statistical method, how to predict the error, and how to represent it. Representation is a key. And in one of our sessions that you have learned that how to conduct an effective presentation, and how to develop that. So this is one of the key method. You just keep in mind, this will going to help you to create a good publication record. Okay, this only to keep, because if you have a good publication, it's directly proportional. You will have a very good knowledge, of course, and you will gain knowledge, and which is also directly proportional to get a very good job, whether you're going for higher studies or for job. Both the elements, it's going to help you. And as I'm sharing my first page of like first slide, as you can see, there are certain websites that you should go on. One is a orchid, if you want to be a researcher, if you want to be grow your career in research sector, so you must have an ORCID ID. The first one that you can see here is the ORCID ID. The second one, you should develop or build your LinkedIn profile. The third one, which I will say, is the research kit. And the fourth one, I hope all of you are having it. So I don't have to say much about the last one, but keep in mind that ORCID, all of you should have it. Second is a LinkedIn, which will help you to boost up your profiling, and you can, whatever the research work or the current study you are making, you can get more or extract more data from it. And the third one is the research gate. Research gate, many authors will tell you, different authors, different scientists, different researchers will give you different insight about different work. Okay, many journal papers will get in this profile, right? So ensure you should have this account. I will not tell you or emphasize on this, okay, but at least you will should have account on this ORCID. Then next is a LinkedIn, and the third is a researchgate, right? So I hope this session was useful for you all, and you have learned, and you have got to know that how to develop this research gap. Furthermore, if you have any difficulty, our team will further send you this recorded lecture for this session, right? So, and some more few more recorded sessions which may or may be helpful for you to refer back and understand. So you can just refer back and just know the and check out the procedures, the things that have been discussed in this process, right? So all right, then I hope there is no further questions in this session. So good night everyone. Soon you'll be receiving the next session, right? All right.